Well, this has been a fun tournament. We have 6 games to go, and at this point, there are a number of contenders who could make it in. I think perhaps the most interesting scenario would be if Wellington wins out, runs away with this, and we just see a bloodbath for that second spot. But Russell Honeybun of Australia going to do everything he can to stop that from happening and to put himself in a good position to make it to the finals here. This is going to be very interesting to watch. Russell has had an absolutely incredible tournament, coming in with a rating of 1759. He has gained 259 rating points, putting him now at 2018. And Wellington himself having a great run. When his rating is as high as it is, 2113, he has still managed to gain more rating points, moving up to 2135. Absolutely unreal. I still have no idea who is going to be in those finals. But if you are Team Nigeria or Team Africa, let's throw in the chat some love for Wellington. If you're Team Australia, Team Honeybun, let's show him some love in chat as well. I know we got many folks from all across the globe watching this right now. In Australia, it's probably like 4 a.m., so kudos to you if you're still awake and cheering on your countrymen, or good morning to you if you're tuning in on a delay a few hours afterwards. This is going to be a good one, folks. Wellington of Nigeria to play first, Russell Honeybun of Australia to respond. And we're just about underway here. Why has Wellington's clock been started already? Has he seen a tile? Or is this WESPA rules? I'm not totally sure.
WESPA rules, I think the clock is supposed to start once you draw a tile out of the bag, not even seeing it, but just drawing it. I don't think everybody plays by that rule, but that I think is the rule. And
okay.
Wellington maybe wasting a little time with the draw, but wasting no time with playing his bingo of heroines.
Yeah,
really good start for Wellington.
Yeah, just again wasting absolutely no time. Heroines and inshore, 2 very high probability bingos out of that rack. Heroine's the only one that places the H on a double letter score, so that's going to be the move for Wellington, wasting no time. QNV, the first tiles Russell sees after getting bingoed on in the first turn. Yikes. But the A that he's pulled as the last tile of the bag is going to give him some options here. TRANQ and QAT, both options here. Trank either through the N in heroines for 25, to the S in heroines for 17, or QAT above or beneath the H in heroines for 29, holding the inflexible NNRV leave. What are you thinking of doing here, Charles?
With these letters, I'm definitely looking to play longer, so definitely playing Trank, maybe to the S of heroines, just initially would be my first thought. Maybe doing Kintar through the I, if there's some reason why I don't like Tranks. But just playing QAT while it scores nicely, the leave of NNRV is just so bad. It's very likely to go wrong for him next turn, and he wouldn't be scoring enough this turn to make up the difference.
This turn will be pivotal as Wellington, despite 2 sets of triplicates, 3 E's, 3 T's, has 1 playable bingo next turn through the R in heroines. So if you're Team Australia or Team Honeybun, QAT, the play you're rooting for here. If you are Team Africa, Team Wellington, Team Nigeria, you'd like to see Trank or Chin instead. Kintar going to be the option here for Russell, and that's going to make the bingo of Tethered score even more for Wellington. I wish we could switch over to another game because this one's going to get ugly fast.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's only one streaming setup in the room. They're not moving boards around to accommodate the desires of the commentators. We can just hope that Russell draws good here and that this game doesn't slip away.
So tethered the option for Wellington here through either R, placing it on the double word to score 68 points, playing through the R on heroines to score 65. And I prefer the defense of the higher scoring bingo anyway. Wellington has not played it yet. I'd be shocked to see him miss a bingo at all, but this seems like a play you make right away, doesn't it?
Yeah, if he sees it, there's no other option unless he thinks there's maybe something through the H. And he's played very quickly in other games that we've watched of him. So when the play is as obvious as this is, so I'm a little bit concerned about what he's planning here, and it looks like he is going to just play teased, missing the bingo.
Wow. Very uncharacteristic mistake, but Wellington has played over 60 games of Scrabble already across the last 2 weeks at these back-to-back tournaments. Perhaps fatigue playing a factor, but Wellington missing a bingo, very uncharacteristic for him, and that's going to give Russell some life in this game, though he doesn't know the break he's just caught. EINOPUV, the draw for Russell. That U, not what he was looking for, but it's a rule in Scrabble. When you play off the Q, you will draw a U next turn. So QUOP, perhaps QUOP from the Q, a good option to score. Vino, forming QI and NO, is 24, or VOIP in the top left corner, IT and PE are also options here. Are you looking to shed the U and play QUOP here, or do you like other plays in this situation, Charles?
So clearly, the ideal play for Russell would play the U and the V. Not a good way to do that while scoring here. Other things being equal, I like V's more than U's. So I do like this play, just getting rid of the U. You don't need it for Q insurance now. The Q's been played. That makes the U even worse than it usually is. Whereas the V, with those remaining 3 tiles, the EIN, actually does have a small amount of bingo synergy. So I do like QUOP here for Russell.
We're hearing from our on-site team that a cheerleading practice and or competition has just begun in the ballroom across the hall. And from what I'm hearing, it is extremely loud. So that perhaps a factor as well. But, Vegas, a fun city where a lot of fun stuff happens. And I guess people having fun across the hallway here. The double actuated, ACUATED, for 40 points. Got to be the play for Wellington in this situation. And Russell drawing into Honey. How fitting, given his last name, of course, is Honeybun. EHINOVY will be his rack as he looks to respond to the double. Wellington ahead by 103, but Russell with multiple high scoring options here. Honey above QUOP scores 45. Or did they take out HOS? I don't know. Hoven on the left side of teethed, HE and OD, is 42. Honey above the E and D in actuated, 43 as well. Or perhaps if you want to try to bingo aggressively and keep the board a little more alive, HOY, if HOS is good. I don't know if they took it out of Collins. I know they took it out of NWL.
Yeah, it looks like hose is still in Collins and means something different than it did in NWL. So not offensive, not taken out. So those are good options for Russell. But given that hose is in the dictionary, something like honey up there, it scores too much to ignore.
Russell's got to decide where to cash. A 5-letter word starting with H, almost certain to come down, but 3 great places to play it. To the left side of teethed, above QUOP, above actuated, many places, but Honey going to be the play from Russell Honeybun, and will score 45 points to pull him closer in this game. AGLLORX, the rack for Wellington now. The X going to help him score on this board. Gox or Locks playing to the right side of the TE in teethed. Locks taking some front hooks, Gox taking none, but the double L combination is not fun. Are you looking to play there, or are you looking to play maybe a little bit longer somewhere else? Laxley to the Y, maybe?
Yeah, what Wellington might be thinking here is was Russell's play of Honey actually an S setup. And if he does think that maybe it's more likely than average that Russell has an S, something like Laxley would be, a reasonable response to that, although it does still give back a lot of points to the right side on that triple word score. Then again, Honey just looks like a typical, for me, it would look like a typical scoring play, not necessarily indicating an S or a blank. And I would be very tempted by just the conventional play of locks next to teased.
If Honey were an S setup, I would play it above Actuated. I'd sacrifice 2 points because, a lot of words ending in S, I think that make those play for a little bit more. So I actually get the opposite read from Honey. By taking the 2 extra points, you weaken the S setup. So I get the opposite read. Honey did not hold an S, although pulling 5 tiles, anything could have happened there. I wonder if Locks or Gawk's going to come down here. Wellington has shown reluctance to open the board at times, but this one already wide open. Kintar taking a back S, Honey taking a back S, the ED in Teethed also a great option. So I think in this case, just grab the equity, keep playing open, and try to run. Locks comes down for Wellington. EFIMNRV now the rack for Russell, and he's going to have a great scoring opportunity here. The R playing in front of HOS, making the Greek letter rho. Vermin fits with 4 overlaps for 47 points. He'll have other high scoring options as well. FIRM playing, making FOP, in, re, and my, also a great option for him. Or he can play Fiver on the left side of Teethed, FE and ID. That's also 42. Several great options. In this situation, I'm looking to knock out the high scoring options above Honey, and I'm looking to to draw as many new tiles as possible, as S's look so important in this situation. What would you play here, Charles?
The points from Vermin are very enticing. It's a tough spot though. It's not an easy word to find. It looks like Russell's got it set up. So kudos to him for seeing it.
Awesome spot.
I would give, yeah, that's a really good find from Russell. Honestly, in a situation like that, I might get distracted by Fiver, which just looks very strong by itself, and maybe overlook Vermin. I think Vermin is correct, but I would not blame even expert level players from seeing Fiver and just going for it. It's good that Russell spent a little bit of time looking here.
Yeah, awesomely spotted for Russell. That is so tough to see. But if he pulls an S here with the additional turnover, that could prove to be crucial in this game. The play to bring Russell within 51 points, 129 to 180. And Wellington, not a great rack here. I expect to see a word probably above Vermin. GARB plays nicely and addresses that big S spot, but perhaps BIRL above Actuated instead an option. Wellington opts for Garb. This looks to be the strongest play by a decent margin. Not sure what else to consider here. Honestly, GIN does take a front A, and that could prove crucial to scoring points on top. We're yet to see Russell's draw here, but an S would be great for him. An A would also help him score a lot of points next turn. There are 2 A's and an O. And a blank. Wow. Okay. AAFLOW blank and FAW above Garb, AGIN and WANE for 37 looks like such a good play for Russell. ALO blank, maybe not the best leave, but hey, I've got that blank. I've got 37 points. I'm feeling pretty good about that. FAW or perhaps FLAW in that spot. Which do you prefer, Charles?
Here I would be probably trying to keep a consonant. I guess it feels stronger ALO blank versus just AO blank, maybe slightly less likely to go wrong. Another thing to consider here is Russell does hold the F for flocks, putting the F on top of locks. So that's sort of like a sneaky bingo lane that he could try to retain if possible. Do I think he should do that here at the expense of retaining the F? Probably not, but it is another sort of wrinkle to this position.
Yeah, actually, a Quackle simulation really wants Russell to hold on to the F here. Both Awa above Garb and Tawa from the T in Kintar standing out a couple points above the FAW or FLAW spot. You see, he spotted the awesome Ardwolf, AARDWOLF. That's not going to fit on this board. No bingos will this turn, but well spotted by Russell. Ooh, we'll see. Will he hold on to the F for Phlox, or will he play the more standard play of FAW here? Both look to be good options.
And I do have to say that I fully sympathize with Russell's desire to. I wouldn't say he's bragging. He's demonstrating his word knowledge to the viewers by setting up a bingo that he knows doesn't play. I'm guilty of the same thing myself. It's just when you have a cool word like that and you actually are able to spot it, the fact that it doesn't play on the board is kind of secondary. You still want people to know that it's there and that you saw it. So it looks like he's moved on from Ardwolf being unplayable. He's got looks like Wolf set up, maybe making Phlox, which seems a little bit non-standard, I guess, if we want to put it charitably.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting play. Not one I'm a fan of at all. I think it'd be a big miss by Russell if he does play that, or a big strategic mistake if he does see these other plays. Sometimes you get blind though. Oh, I've drawn that F. I get to use it for points. Yeah, he held it last turn after Vermin as well. But yeah, I think he's also going to take a little bit of time and just look for bingos here. You'd hate to miss a bingo on stream. This board has a lot of lines for them, and a bingo out of this rack would be very high scoring. But there are no bingos. We know that at home, and we're already moving on to the next step. But Russell's going to have to take some time and make sure there's not one.
Yeah, and it's also possible that. Yeah, I'm not sure what he's got set up here. I'm thinking it's possible he looked up or overlooked the A hook on Jin, making a Jin or a Gin, I guess it's pronounced, because that's clearly a good spot to dump the W and one of the extra A's. It looks like he does see it. He's going for a little bit more turnover, playing flaw instead of fa.
Yeah, if he's able to find an O, he won't have to use the blank as an, or I'm sorry, if he's able to draw an S, he won't have to use the blank as an S in his bingo. So perhaps the extra turnover there, 2 extra points is always nice as well. So flaw the play for Russell. Interesting though, Awa or Tawa, the highest simming moves there. AAIIKLR, the rack for Wellington, who's seen his lead slowly sneaking away. KAI, KEXAE, and IT looks to be the equity move here. 27 points. AILR, the leave, but you don't want to get caught up bingoing on this board unless you've got, or trying to bingo on this board unless you've got an S as not many spots. So Wellington opts to play a little bit longer here. Alibi coming down, and that's also a little non-standard, but a play like KAI, maybe not one you want to make. You don't want to get caught up fishing. There's a lot of eyes left to be drawn. So Wellington looks to do something else in this situation.
Yeah, and I think he's at this point worried about the S hook on Honey. Alibi does do a very good job of disrupting that spot, basically killing it, honestly. Just taking one more bingo line away from your opponent in this situation is a consideration. And Russell has drawn the second F, so even though he played an F with flaw, bypassing Phlox, Phlox still has life. He still has an F, and might be thinking of Mafiosa or something, possibly.
Yeah. Mafiosa is not valid here. There are, again, no playable bingos for Russell. Perhaps I put the hex. He did draw the S, but did not draw the bingo. And best options for him, probably going to utilize that triple letter score above the E and actuated. Tafia, TAFIA, is very solid. TIFO, an inferior version of that. But that likely to be the spot that we see these tiles go down. Maybe if he wants to play recklessly, OAF above flaw, making OF A-L and F-A-G-I-N, but I think you've got to play the F down underneath. I don't see scoring options that allow you to hold the F for flocks. So as much as you'd like to retain that tile, you need to cash it in and score some points this turn. Tafia, I think a big play for Russell to see here.
Yeah, that seems unambiguously best, and it does hurt a little bit when you've got that hook that's the last one and you're not using it. You're playing off the tile and doing something else. It does take a little bit of, perseverance to say it's okay to not use the hook. It's okay to, just forget about it and do what really is the best play. And in this case, it's Tafia.
Wellington has found the other blank in the bag and has a ridiculous bingo out of a rack that looks like garbage. That would be Rauriki, Reinke, which plays to the left side of teethed right now. He hasn't arranged it on his rack yet, but Wellington, not much of a scrambler. He just kind of puts his tiles on his rack and leaves them there a lot of the time, particularly when his opponent is on the clock. So Reinke, an option for Wellington, would sling an I in a triple-triple line, as Russell is probably going to retain a blank here. He has set up Mafiosa on his rack. I wonder if, he's going to play it. Wow, so will he lose a turn to Wellington? We've seen Wellington challenging a lot of words this tournament. In 5-point challenge, I expect this one to get knocked off as well. This play much better than the other options for Russell. So if he thinks this might be a word, you take the shot on it, Mafiosa to score 88, but I don't think it's going to stay on the board here. He's on hold, and it's been challenged by Wellington. Wow.
Yeah, that really damages Russell's chances of winning this game. He didn't have time to play a phony here, given how he's down almost 70 points.
And
it's
crucially,
going to, even when he does bingo, with this blank and this S, it's not going to be enough to get him right back into the game. Then again, you don't want to pass up a bingo if you have one. And so Russell saw it, thought it would be good, and played it. You can't fault the logic there.
And crucially, this allows Wellington to play Reinke without fear of getting tripled or even bingoed on, as he knows Russell's rack. He knows that's not going to hit him back. So Wellington, in a play he might otherwise hold his breath, able to cash in the bingo, which he spots immediately. Wonderful job by Wellington. 78 points. What a huge swing in this game. Perhaps had Tafia come down, this would be a triple for Russell. Instead, an aggravating turn for him. Big pivotal swing.
Yeah, this really changed the whole game, this 2-turn sequence. Things are way worse for Russell than they were prior to Mafiosa. And Reinke, just an insane find from Wellington. He missed a bingo earlier of tethered, but apparently that one's a bit more straightforward, and he missed it. Now this crazy one with 2 I's and a U and a K, he finds it with no problem.
Wild. If I'm Russell, I am absolutely playing OAF and FAD right here. One huge spot, the triple on the board. Wellington needs to address that with the knowledge I have a blank. I'll open another huge spot right now. Sure, knock out the triple. I'll bingo here for 100. OAF, FAD, got to be the play for Russell.
Yeah, that looks right now. That's got to be his option. It's possible playing oaf there induces a play from Wellington that actually only he maybe in this case might play job or something. JOB next to the O of oaf. Just praying that the triple doesn't happen. So Russell's got to, try to make something happen here. Possibly induce Wellington to leave the triple open or sacrifice a lot to close it. And it wouldn't necessarily be over at that point. If Russell draws a bingo after his bingo, it could still be a game.
Yeah, in this situation, down as much as Russell's down, you have to do everything you can to give this board life, and that would be a fantastic way for him to do it. You can't just play for equity here. You can't just play Tafia from the tee. You've got to open more opportunity for yourself. OAF would be a little bit reckless in another situation, but just reckless enough for Russell in this situation. Will he play it? Yes, I love it. This is going to be action, folks. Wellington with a big decision to make now. JOB or COOPT. Great high scoring options for him up there, 48 points, but he knows Russell has a blank and an S on his rack. Could he possibly leave that triple alone? And if he decides no, he's going to have to make a major sacrifice playing something like what, BOP in that spot, or BOT, making OK. What will Wellington do here? What will Russell draw here? He needs a great pull to triple.
Looks like Russell doesn't even want to know what he's drawn. I mean, we want to know. Even if he doesn't want to know, we want to know. If he could at least, show them to the camera and not look himself.
He's doing everything he can to avoid giving a tell to Wellington. He won't even flip them over. That is so spicy. Again, Scrabble, a game similar to poker. A lot of reading your opponent and inferences to be made. I've never seen this before. Just don't even look at them. You make your decision, and then I'll pick up my tiles. How fun. How awesome. And now the whole world waiting to see what he's drawn. VMD, the pull for Russell. No triples through the eye. No bingos available anywhere. And now I think the play has to be Avid next to locks, AVID, LI, and TOD. That's another fun one. One triple open. Let's make that 2, Wellington.
Yeah, it's still not over if he does something like Avid. It actually makes Wellington's life considerably more complicated, although it does, rely on a good draw after Avid. But something more conventional, like just playing Avid through the eye of Reinke, it's clearly not the play here. That's basically it's conceding the game to do something like that. You're never going to come back from 150 points down by closing your triple line, holding the blank and the S.
Russell likely needs to go either 5-0 or 6-1. That'd be 6-0 or 5-1 across the remainder of this tournament in order to contend. So I'm not thinking about point spread here. I want to win this game. I want to play Avid. I want another opportunity at a triple. I want to make Wellington's head explode with the options I may have.
Yeah, and I think Russell's spread in the tournament is not that good to start with. So he's already coming from a point where he's just looking at the wins, knowing that his spread isn't necessarily going to save him.
It's hard to recover from losing a turn like on Mafiosi, especially when you get hit back with a blank bingo. It's hard to stay focused and fixated, but OAF on the last turn, Russell not turning over these tiles. I love it. Lots of action. Russell, yes. Oh my goodness. I love it, Russell. And I bet once again, he will not even turn over or look at these tiles until Wellington has responded. Wonderful back-to-back series of plays for Russell to give himself some life. And you can see exactly why he has picked up so much rating this tournament and stayed on top. Wonderful play. Great creative thought from Russell. I love it.
Yeah, that's the kind of creative play that not every player is going to see. Not obviously these are world-class players, so we don't put anything past them. But to play sort of unorthodox plays like that to give yourself a chance is what separates some of these top players from the rest of us rabble.
Wellington has set up Podic on his rack, PODIC. That's a fun 5-letter word from day one. For those of you who are with us on that stream, we watched Vanitha of Malaysia steal a game away with that 5-letter phony. But Wellington certainly won't play that here. It's got to address one of these big spots. POD to the left side of Reinke makes it very difficult to triple, obstructs that line. COAPT through the A in Avid up top, also a way for him to get into this game, or knock some of those spots out, or maybe play very long, play podcast or something like that. I'm not sure what exactly he plans to do. Russell has turned over his tiles for us here, and that is very sad. EEEU was his draw. How sad for us all. A game where I was expecting a lot of content, and Russell just unable to pull what he needs to give us said content. Although maybe one more opportunity, we might see EMEUS making DE inactivated to give him one more shot at a triple. Let's go, Russell. This will still be fun.
Yeah, unfortunately for Russell, every turn that passes where he doesn't get the triple is, one turn that passes where Wellington is still scoring, and eventually it gets to the point where a triple doesn't even necessarily win you. It won't certainly win you the game. You just hope that it gets you back into the game. Like, I've certainly played games where I triple and I'm still down 60. And so that's my path to victory, but the triple by itself isn't enough. And with podcast here, that's so many points where Wellington's probably thinking, even if Russell scores 160 points on the bottom row, it just becomes an even game, and he can be okay with that.
Yeah, so podcast will put Wellington ahead 400 to 222. Russell falling further and further behind. We'll get the unseen tiles on display. Podcast will leave just 10 tiles in the bag. So Russell running out of real estate, running out of time in this game as well. Will he make one more last second fish, EMEUS, get another triple out there? Or will he sort of concede defeat and play for spread at this point? We'll find out. The Z, still unseen to Russell, will score huge above accuated TIZ and ZE or similar plays there. And Wellington has just pulled it. That's going to be it for this one.
Yeah, Wellington looks like he's drawn Tiz in the spot Matt just mentioned, but also Grizz through the eye of Reinke. So a Z-bomb in either spot is going to put it out of reach, even if Russell does get some sort of miracle triple, which is now seeming very unlikely.
But if Russell's indicated anything to us this game, he's not going to go down without fighting. So EMEUS, I think, may be the move for him anyway. Yeah, you're right. It probably won't be enough. We know it certainly won't be enough. But if I string that out there and then pull like a Z triple in either spot, yeah, okay. I've still got a chance. Russell, despite almost 180-point deficit with that blank, with the dynamic board, could give himself one more shot, at least from his perspective.
Yeah, and again, it sort of comes down to at what point do you give up? And if Russell's really just gunning for wins, maybe he doesn't give up. Although it looks like here he's making a play of MEE, scores decently, keeps a good leave. It's in a conventional situation is a good play, knowing full well that Wellington will almost certainly block the triple, and the game will be over.
Still a fun game to watch. Russell losing the turn, but did not go down without giving it everything he could. But the scoring assault from Wellington, just too much to maintain. Cashing the B, cashing podcast, cashing a lot of plays for a lot of points, and he'll do it one more time here with Grizz.
Yeah, and it looks like Russell does not have any 7-letter words on his rack, despite the 2 S's and the blank. no words out of those letters. So even the hope of like cashing in Kintars with a bingo, still not happening this turn. So this is going to be kind of a blowout if Russell doesn't. It's already a blowout, but if Russell doesn't even manage a bingo, it could be kind of a disastrous blowout. And the players behind Wellington don't want to see him get any more spread either. Russell himself might not care that much, but the players trying to catch Wellington would rather him not get 200 spread points that just put them further behind.
And yet you can't blame Russell for what's happened in this game. You know, you have to take these chances. Yeah, everybody else doesn't want to see a big Wellington win to rack up spread, but Russell needing a win probably to keep his chances alive, and he did everything he could. YU and Waney looks to be the play here. Leave 2 tiles in the bag, score some points, leave the S hook behind it available and the S hook with Kintars. So Russell probably just going to do that, and one more chance to pull a bingo for him.
I guess my thought is, are the cheerleaders done? Did they move the cheerleaders to another room? It seemed like Russell might have been covering his ears at a certain point in this game. Hopefully that situation was resolved in some way. Of course, we don't get any tells from Wellington whatsoever. So if he was at all bothered by the cheerleading practice in the next ballroom, he didn't, and he would never indicate in any way that it was affecting him.
I wish we could get cheerleading and Scrabble, but there would just be too many tells. You know, when your favorite player draws a blank, the cheers would erupt. For that reason, when we do broadcast the finals of tournaments and players are allowed to watch in a nearby room, we air it on about a 5 to 10 minute delay just to make sure if there is a loud cheer from the crowd, it has nothing to do with the tile the players have drawn. I'm getting word that the cheerleading has, at least for now, subsided, so giving the players some quietude. The noise not seeming to impact the play on this board too much. One missed bingo from Wellington, though, and one phony played by Russell on this board. A little bit uncharacteristic from both of these players, I'd expect, but alas, YES, the play coming down for Russell. He'll have one last-ditch effort at a bingo, drawing into SNU blank, and we'll see what he pulls out of the bag to see if he'll be able to cut some of the spread down in this loss. Wellington to break 500 this point if he spots IWI beneath podcast. Or EWE in the same spot. Maybe he looks to address some lanes. I'm very worried about the S hook on Kintars. I know that my opponent has an S because he showed it to me like 8 turns ago and it hasn't gone anywhere. So you've got to know the Kintars hook is Russell's. Do you try to block it? How could you block it? Yeah, interesting decision here. Russell's going to have outsang at least, if not other bingos. So he will be able to bingo in that spot. What are the hooks to MEE? DRST. K. So Russell's going to bingo out almost certainly in this game in one of the 2 spots. TEW. Yeah, I think that's the most obstructive play he can possibly make here. That's pretty cool. He's not hit his clock yet. He's going to think about it, look at the options. So we'll see. Wellington's pulled it back, at least for now. He wants to do everything he can to obstruct those bingos. He's got to look at that pool, AGNNOSU blank, and figure out, are there any bingos in that pool that fit with an S in the 5th spot? Because then I'll be setting that bingo up to score significantly more. But there, to my perspective, are none. Yeah, there are none.
I'm not seeing any here, so it looks like Russell will probably go out without saying, making Kintars, and get this game a little bit closer. It's always sad to see a blank and an S go unused in an endgame. Like, dribbled away for 20 points or something. There's a little bit of joy to be had in finally getting the bingo down, even if it doesn't result in the victory.
Yeah, so he will be able to get out Sang down. Little solace in a game that's been rather rough for him, but at least it's something. 74 points for the out bingo. And the final in this one will be a little less lopsided than it felt at one point. 484 for Wellington. And looks like it's going to be 355 for Russell. My computer's exploding right now trying to figure all this out. What on earth? Why is it not doing this? For those of us joining us more recently, this is the fourth and final day of the main event of the World Scrabble Championship. After 32 rounds of Scrabble play, we will take the players in first and second place, and they will play a best of 7 finals to determine the world champion. Wellington, if you are unfamiliar with him, has won a world championship in the past. He is the first African to win a Scrabble world champion, and so far the only African, although the scene there is absolutely bursting right now. Nigeria with a huge amount of talent. Sierra Leone, Uganda also sending big representations. Zambia as well. So Wellington may have been the first, but I'm certain he will not be the last world champion from Africa. Russell Honeybun has not won a championship himself, but Australia has. David Eldar, playing in this event as well, has recently won a world championship. Several Americans also looking to make a run in this tournament. Will Anderson and Dave Wiegand, both high up in the leaderboard as well. Harshan is a player from England who has also had a great tournament himself. And Tacha of Thailand has had a wonderful run as well. At this point, the tournament is very much up for grabs, though this victory for Wellington is going to make it difficult. He'll have to lose out probably at least 3 or 4 of his final 5 games to miss out on the championship with this victory. There's still a lot that could happen. We've seen Wellington draw very poorly on stream over the last half day or so. But, at this point, there's a lot to watch for and a lot of excitement yet to happen. I think at this point, the title could easily go to players from North America, Europe, Africa, Asia, or Australia.
Yeah, we still haven't seen outsaying from Russell. It looks like he's missing it, running out of time on his clock. So game's not going. It's going to be a larger spread than maybe we thought it would be.
Yeah, a larger spread. Shogun, the play here to put Russell at 302. Wellington will be unable to play out of EIILN. So Russell will get 1 additional turn after this, but Wellington picking up on some additional spread with the missed bingo from Russell here. LINE, the highest sequence that Wellington has for this end game. He'll score 21 points and block the best out for Russell, which would have been PA for 8. And Russell now going to play out for 6 points. That'll make the final in this one 310 for the Aussie and 505 from the previous world champion from Nigeria. This was a fun one. Score very lopsided, and yet I was still on the edge of my chair until about 2 turns left. We're going to try to keep the cameras live and going. We know we're not going to get a post-mortem from Wellington. He is so stoic both in victory and defeat. Doesn't really analyze his games, just wins, submits the score. All business here as he seeks to win his 2nd world championship. But we're going to keep the feed live for right now rather than cutting away to break. We're going to pull up the scoreboard and watch other scores come in and try to figure out ramifications. We have 1 more game before the lunch break today. So we'll keep the cameras rolling, keep the feed live, maybe banter with y'all in chat just a little bit. And as they get the scores, pulled in here. We're going to have to pull the sound out for just about 10 or 15 seconds as we move the feed around. But show some love. Who are you rooting for right now? Team Africa, I know, has a big presence right now. Team Wellington has a lot of fans. Team Australia showing some love. I know we've got some Brits rooting for Harshan in chat as well. Plenty of Americans and North Americans, as the tournament hosted there is good for or good time wise for y'all to be watching. So show some love. Who are you rooting for? Who do you think is going to win? Shout it out here in chat as we'll pull the audio for just a few seconds.